Hey everyone, I'm Nate.
And I'm Abby.
This little sleepy guy is Popeye. We are the TheRcSaylors.
He looks tired.
He was just laying down here. I think I'm going to let him go lay back down. Yeah, poor little guy. So recently, we did a video where I did my best to show you, everybody, mostly aimed at beginners, how to charge a LiPo battery. We talked a little bit about the safety of keeping your cells balanced. Remember, just because this is one battery, that's Popeye, there are actually two cells in here. We talked about how to count the cells and converters, some basic things. The main thing was how to charge a battery. If you missed that video and you want to watch it, it probably should be watched before this one.
We'll have it carded right there.
A few things were asked in the comments section, and a lot of people said I did a couple things wrong.
Of course they did.
I knew that would happen. And generally I don't do a follow-up video addressing the things that people said I did wrong, but I think these are worth pointing out. So,
and you had already planned on doing a follow-up video anyways for storage and balance charging,
balance charging, discharging, addressing a few other things. Now, one very important thing to note that I didn't highlight enough in the last video that I should have mentioned more about is, although we used a LiPo bag while we demonstrated charging, I didn't really emphasize that you should never leave your batteries charging, even in a LiPo bag, in an ammo box, or anything like that. You should always be around, just in case of a LiPo fire.
But we've done a video in a LiPo bag before and mentioned that in that video. So sometimes we start to feel like we repeat ourselves
and
sometimes.
we do, but there are so many new people to our channel, it's unlikely that they've seen that video. So the first thing that I want to point out is this little guy. We talked about it in the last video, but not very much. This is an extremely handy tool. It can tell you how much juice you have left in your battery, each cell of your battery, and something else that I didn't mention in the last video is the fact that it can be used as a Lipo alarm. So you can set it to how many volts per cell you would like it to go off at, and then it will beep really loud and let you know, hey, your battery's getting low. So most guys, like myself, will use these in a remote control airplane, so you don't have to set timers. You just set the alarm. I like to set mine to 3.6 volts. Some people like to go lower, some people go a bit higher. I'll explain why in this video, and I will link these in the description box below. They're usually only $1 or $2. I recommend picking up 3 or 4 at least, so you have one in your toolbox, you have one at home, you have one by your charger, you have one in your car. Handy thing to have for so cheap. So when I plugged this in, and it was this exact one to this exact battery just a couple days ago, and I haven't used this battery yet for good reason. We're gonna storage charge it in this video. So just a couple days ago when I plugged this in to this battery, this is what it did. Tells you all of your cells. Then number 1 was 4.13 and number 2 was 4.21. Okay? And the numbers may have been slightly different because it had just gotten off of a fresh charge, but you see the difference? These should be really close. 4.13 and 4.2. They're kind of far off, and people said, well, Nate, that's because you didn't balance charge your battery like you should have. We're gonna get to that. So don't cut away, Abby. This is the one we used with this battery. I'm gonna set that over here. Now look, no magic tricks. I have a second Lipo alarm.
It's still sitting there.
When I plug this one in, we're gonna get a slightly different reading. Watch. The first cell, 4.19, and the second one is 4.2. A lot of people said those numbers were so far off because I didn't balance charge my battery. I do balance charge my batteries, but I didn't want to confuse people in a simple how to charge your battery video. So in this video we're going to talk a little bit more about why those things can be off and stuff, but we're going to keep it really simple. And the main thing we're going to focus on is storage charging and discharging your batteries using this charger, because this is ultimately our favorite charger, the Duo and the Quad. And just how to do that and why you want to do that and about when you want to do it, those sort of things. It's kind of like battery maintenance.
So you did battery 101 and this is battery 102.
I guess so, yeah. I guess so. So why are these off? Why was that so far off, even though they look exactly the same? Because they're $1. They're cheaply made, so they're not going to be super accurate, but they get the job done. I know that my batteries are pretty close. They might be 0.02 off on the milliamps. It's pretty good though. It's not that bad. But if they do get farther off, if my cells really were...
Did you mean to say volts, not milliamps?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, too many things in my mind.
You're all right.
If they were really far off, if it was 4.2 and 4 volts per cell, then it needs to be balance charged. Now, some people are very particular with their batteries, more so than me, believe it or not, and I did get some feedback, some people saying that when we plug the battery into the charger to do something, you never should plug in the balance lead first. You should plug in directly the main leads here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so when we plug a battery in, we should plug in the main discharge lead and then the balance lead. Some people say that when you plug these in, there could be a little burst of energy going from the battery to the charger or vice versa. And that the main lead, the big fat wire, can handle more voltage than the little balance leads. And there is truth to that. So if you just want to be better safe than sorry, that is not a bad habit to get into. I apologize for plugging in the balance lead first on one of my examples. I was just focusing on basic stuff. So now that we know the basics, we know that it is just a good habit to get into to plug in the main lead first and then follow up with your balance lead. You're not really going to hurt your batteries. How do I know that? Because I've been doing this for 5+ years just on the channel, 15 or so years as a hobby, and I've never hurt any batteries.
And he just proved that he didn't hurt that battery.
That's right. But as you use batteries, after you've charged it and discharged it 50 to 100 times, your cells could get off. Remember, there's 2 cells in here. It's not just one battery. There's 2 batteries.
How old do you think that battery or that is?
This battery has got to be about 5 years old.
No, it wouldn't be 5 years old. You've only done that since we had race drones. That's a race drone battery. So
no,
probably
it's not a race drone battery. This is my FPV goggle battery.
Okay.
Maybe 3 years?
3 years is what I was gonna say.
Fair enough. So every now and then it does get off. The numbers will be off. It won't be 4.19 and 4.2 volts per cell. Okay, so when it gets, the numbers are separated farther, it's time to balance charge your battery. So let's do that with this battery. You're not going to hurt anything by balance charging it when it's already charged, but you know, you really probably shouldn't just charge all the time. This is only going to go for a few, probably a few seconds, since we just charged it a couple days ago. So remember, we're not going to plug the balance lead in first. We're going to plug in this lead. Also, one of our friends pointed out that I should plug this in all the way, and yes, I should. That
was rushing in the video too.
Yes, I just simply wasn't. So anyway, the reason for that is, you know, you don't have metal contacts exposed. Get a finger or other metal in there and damage your stuff. So plug it in all the way so no metal contacts are exposed. See, good seal. So we're going to unplug that, and we're going to plug our battery in, the main discharge lead first. Now I'm also showing you this because this one doesn't like to plug in all the way. This is just a heavily used battery.
It's those star plugs too.
And this is a Dean's to a star plug, and so it's not.
Star plugs never go in all the way.
It's not perfect.
Never, ever, ever.
So that's going to remain like that, and you could wrap a piece of electrical tape around it for safety's sake while charging, but because we're here in front of it, we're going to let it go like that. So we're talking a lot of safety things in this video. That's a really main point of this follow-up. You charged your battery. Now, what do you do if you didn't use your battery? So this battery, first I'm going to show you guys the balance charge, just so you know how. It's as easy as charging. You go back over here. We've already got it set on 1.5 amps. We talked about how to charge your battery. But let's say those cells were off. We want to do a Lipo Balance. And we're going to hit enter. We can go just right up to the milliamps that it is. We want to decrease that to 2 cells. Remember, I showed you guys how to use this in the last video, and we're just going to go ahead and start it. So if we think our battery cells could be off, this is how we balance them back out. If you ask me, it is not necessary to do this every single time. It can be a lot slower. Slower is not a bad thing. The slower you charge a battery, generally speaking, the safer and healthier the battery will remain. The more uses you'll get out of it over time. So slower is not a bad thing, but sometimes you're impatient in the hobby, and if you do it the way I showed you, you're not going to hurt anything. It's a very safe, healthy way to charge your batteries. So all that is balance charging, and it's going to probably finish here in just a minute. Let's talk about discharging a battery, or maybe just storage charging a battery, which is something you'll want to do if you know you're not going to use a battery for a while. The reason is because these guys have a lot going on. There's a lot of chemistry going on in here, and when it's charged, it's got the maximum amount of volts per cell in there that it can hold, and it's just you might want to watch like a YouTube video on the chemistry of a battery to know why it's unhealthy to leave it for a long period of time. But just to keep things simple, you don't want to leave them charged for more than a few days or so. That's just a safe habit to get into. So if you missed your weekend that you were going to fly, it's time to storage charge. See, I knew that wouldn't take very long because it was already balanced. But let's just stop that. Let's unplug everything, and let's plug back into our two different I don't remember which one is which, so we'll just plug it in and see what it shows. So now this one is showing per cell 4.15 and 4.24. I'll bet you anything this is the bad one that I used in the first video.
Probably.
So heads up guys, it's not my battery, it's this because it was $1. So we'll set that down. Let's grab this one, and I will say these are going to both be at 4.2 volts per cell. Here we go, 4.19, 4.2.
The exact same thing it was a minute ago.
I'll take it. That's a great battery, healthy, there's no puff, and I've been using this battery just a ton. So this is a more accurate one of these tools. This one just was something's wrong in there, but it still works. I can still use that to get the job done, so I'll keep it. So we're not going to use this battery. I know the weather's going to be bad over the next few days. I'm not going to use my FPV goggles. So what do I want to do? I want to storage charge this.
But one tip that someone reminded us of, because we've said this numerous times in other videos, but we didn't mention it in this last video, is that you don't want to charge your batteries while they are hot or warm. You want to give them plenty of time to cool off.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And you don't want to use them if they're warm either. So if you did charge it at 5 times the rating you should have, it might get a little warm, and you don't want to just take it off the charger and put it right in the plane.
Same with your planes too. You don't want to put back-to-back batteries in your planes or any of your
motor
RCs.
And ESC cool off.
Let everything cool off between batteries.
Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. You can either discharge a battery or you can storage charge a battery. Sometimes when your battery is full and you go to a storage charge, also with discharging on this charger, it takes a while. It can take a couple hours, and sometimes it doesn't get the job done in that 2 hours. And I have my timer set for 2 hours on here, the maximum time, and I'll have to actually take it off the charger and put it back on. The reason for that is because your airplane motor and ESC or drones burn up energy way faster than the little tiny guy in here. There's a little device in here, I can't think of the name, that burns off the energy of your battery, and it's just really slow compared to using it. So a lot of people actually they make things that will burn off the energy faster than your charger will. So we're still going to do it. This still works, and it works really well. So we'll plug in our main lead first, and then our balance lead. And there's an option on here. We're just going to select. We could go to discharge.
Oh, sorry. I'll get this. There you go.
But I want this on a storage charge. I would like to set this up so now I can pack it away in my ammo box and not worry about it. So hit enter on that for storage. The highest that'll let you discharge a battery on here, which is what it's doing, or even storage charging because it'll go slow, is 1 amp. It's pretty slow, but I always do it at 1 amp. That's the fastest it'll let me go, and it's still slow enough to not hurt your battery at all. And then we're doing a 2-cell battery, so we're just going to decrease that to 2S, 2 cells, and we hit enter. It is that simple. And now this will probably take about 2 hours, but I need this to happen. I have to do this. We charged it yesterday or 2 days ago, and I know I'm not going to use it now. I'm not going to use my goggles, so I've got to do some editing and things. So I will put it in the LiPo bag, go over on the computer while this is here. I'm around. I know what's going on. You know, play a video game, do something while you are doing stuff to your batteries, charging, storage charging, or discharging. When that goes off, it will show, and I wish I had one storage charge to show you now. Okay, this one isn't too bad. I probably should balance this one because it is off a little bit, okay? And it's good to go through your batteries and check these. So 4.19 and 4.14. So I will probably discharge this for about a half hour using the discharge setting on my charger. And then I will plug it back in and give it a balance charge. That way it'll take longer than a normal charge, balance the cells, and then I will put it on a storage charge. When you storage charge a battery, a LiPo battery, each cell in the battery should be at 3.8 volts. That's almost right in the middle. That's basically right in the middle. If you ironically have your battery, you plug it in and it already says 3.8 volts per cell, it's storage charge. It's right in the middle. You really don't have to do anything to it. So you're good to let it sit in an ammo box, maybe lined in some LiPo safety bag for a few months. Then you may want to, if you're a really long winter and you didn't use your batteries, maybe get them out, give them a charge, use them on something, then give them a storage charge again. A couple cycles would be good. But 3.8 volts is where you want to storage charge your batteries, and these Venom chargers know that. They are going to get each cell at 3.8 volts. No matter if you have a 2-cell battery or a 4-cell battery, it will get the job done. That's why you're plugging it into that little balance lead. And when you're out on the field and you're flying, I like my LiPos to be, I like the alarm to go off at 3.6 volts. Just a couple decimals lower than that 3.8 storage charge. Because, and this is kind of a nice thing, when the alarm goes off at 3.6 volts, you're going to probably land, whatever you're flying, around 3.5 volts. And LiPo batteries, after they've been used, have a tendency to rest back up about 0.25 to 0.3 volts. So if you do the math, and you landed it at 3.5 volts per cell, it's going to go, yeah, I think I said it right. It'll go back up to 3.8 volts, or really close to it. So when you plug it back into your charger to do a storage charge, it's almost already there, and you don't have to wait forever on something like this Venom charger to get it there. So that is pretty much all there is to know about this part of the storage charge.
A lot of people were wanting to know about 1S batteries.
1S batteries are a little different.
So we'll have to do a third video.
Yeah, well actually we did a video on the Venom Quad
Pro 1S charger.
Yes. It's smaller than this, cheaper than this, and it specializes in charging single cell batteries. That's what I recommend using for single cell batteries. But if you want to use this, you can. It's a bit harder though, because when you plug all your batteries in, all the batteries that are getting ready to be charged have to be at the same level. Otherwise you can damage your batteries. At least the way I do with this. There may be some other ways, but the way I do it, they'll have to start off at the same level. So
yeah, I think that charger's only like $60 too.
It's $60.
And does 4 at once.
4 at once, and it does 1-cell batteries. Yeah, that's all it does though. And unfortunately, this doesn't do 1-cell batteries as is. You have to buy a little adapter to make that happen. And it's not as accurate as their little 1-cell charger. There's just different things going on with that. I think the best thing to do, because this follow-up video I wanted to do this. I didn't want to overwhelm people in the first battery video, but we also got a few questions, the same type of thing. The biggest thing, a lot of people said I did something wrong with my battery, but these are just slightly off. I wanted to follow up with that and let you guys know that if you buy these cheap little guys, they can be slightly off. I also wanted to address the main lead versus the balance lead, plugging it in first. That was a good point, but you don't have to do that. I've not done it forever. And discharging and storage charging, very easy to do on here, but again, I didn't want to overwhelm you. And balance charging your batteries, you just quickly repeating myself here, you do not have to do that every single time you charge your batteries. I do it like once a month or something like that. I mean, if I notice that the cells are getting off from each other, I will balance charge my batteries. Only then. I don't do it unless and every time I use a battery, before I put it in the plane or in the truck, I plug this in and I look and I say 4.19 volts, 4.14, even though that's off a little bit, that's charged. That's a good battery. And it only took me 10 seconds to check.
One subscriber made a really good point, is that he's been in the hobby for years, probably just as long as we have.
Okay.
And he's watched tons and tons of videos, probably more than us.
Probably.
And he said that everybody has their own way of doing things,
They do.
and really no one's right and no one's wrong. As long as you're doing it as safe as possible,
Yes.
and as knowledgeable as possible, you'll be fine.
That's a really good point.
So don't let batteries overwhelm you.
Yes.
It's really not rocket science.
It is simple once you get the basics down, and that's the point I was trying to make with my first video and even with this video. It is simple. It's a lot of it is just trying to be safe and not being ignorant and neglecting your batteries. It's bad to charge it and leave it charged for months or something. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't, because it can damage your batteries and you can cause lipo fires and things. So attend your batteries when they're charging, even if you have a lipo bag, be around them when they're charging. And
if you have any questions, leave it in the comments
Yeah.
below, because we have a great community of people, and I'm
Yes.
sure someone will see your comment, and
Yeah.
if we don't, and they'll answer and help you.
And if there are enough of the same type of question, I may end up doing another video about batteries. So if it's,
Popeye's so sleepy.
and there's one other mistake I made in that first video, an actual mistake, not just, you know, one person's opinion versus another. The only factual mistake I made was Bruce from RC Model Reviews and XJet is not from Australia. He's from New Zealand. So I'm sorry, Bruce and everybody else. They're very close. It's a little island off of Australia, but it's not part of Australia. So I couldn't tell you how to get to Kroger's from my house without just doing it. So I'm geographically challenged, big time. But anyway, Bruce is from New Zealand. So I wonder if he knows what state we live in. I doubt it. I'll just say Yankee or something, you know. I don't know.
Then hillbillies.
Yeah. You know, maybe ending this video just while we're here talking about this. Let's talk about how to use these just for a second. Let's use it with this one to keep it simple, because it's
this
two
video
cells.
is already 20-some minutes long.
Well,
or 30
this will
minutes
be very
long.
quick. A lot of people get confused with these and they think they can damage them, but check this out. I've got these pins and I'm just plugging it into the balance port or the balance lead of my battery. I'm doing it in all different sections and it's not working. If I flip it around, I'm plugging it in all different sections, it's not working. You cannot damage it by plugging it in incorrectly this way. But here's a tip on how to just plug it in properly every time. Get the display facing you. The back has a chart and it tells you where to plug the positive versus negative lead in. Okay? But the chart slows me down. The negative lead is here, the positive is here. The black is the negative, so it goes there, and it tells you.
The chart never slows me down. I always look for the negative sign and the black wire and match those two.
Yes, and that works. But I have a quicker method. you're holding the display because that's what you want to look at anyway, and then the shiny part of your balance lead. See these little shiny bits there? This side doesn't have those, this side does, and all balance leads are like that. Or most, I should say. And then you plug it in on the far left, always, as you're looking at it.
And if you leave it plugged in while you're flying, an alarm will go off when it's low. Yes,
and the way you choose what you want your alarm to be, I'm going to hold over the speakers so it's not super loud.
I had no idea you could do that.
Yes. There's a button. There's a teeny tiny button. Look.
Well, that's what Nate's here for.
There's a little button on top. You see it? Doesn't even look like a button.
Okay.
It's by the speakers. Let's hit it, and every time you hit it, okay, that one's not beeping. That's good. Okay. See how it says 2.8? It does it really fast. 2.8. If I hit it again, it's 2.9, 3, 3.1, 3.2, 3. I want mine set at 2.6. Why is it? I'm sorry. 3.6 volts. 3.6. That's what I wanted it at. And it goes back to normal. If I just hit it once as it's cycling, it tells me what I have it set on. I can continue to hit it and it won't change it. You see? But if I hit it quickly, I can turn it off entirely. But I want mine set at 3.6 volts. Some guys like it 3.5, 3.4. They say, so if I put it on 3.4, I'll land as soon as it's going off, and then it'll balance back up to about 3.6. That's true. What if it's windy? What if you're bad at landing and you need to go around again? You know, I like it at 3.6. Some people will do 3.7 just to be better safe than sorry, and they'll let it beep for a minute while they fly.
The important thing is to not let your battery get too low, because that will damage your battery.
And sometimes that'll be the end of it.
And make it puff.
If you let your LiPo get too low, even just one time, that could be the end of it. It might not want to take a charge again. There are some tricks to getting that to charge again, but unsafe tricks, I'm not even going to talk about them. But that's a simple tool, and it's very useful. You need one of these. You need 5 of these, honestly. I'll link these in the description box below, and I'm going to link up our favorite charger, the Venom Pro Duo. I've been using this for years. It is my favorite charger, and the Quad, which is just the 4 battery version of this. It works exactly the same. There's some battery knowledge, and going into spring, summer, fall of this year, use it. Don't forget it. If you do forget how to storage charge your batteries, come back to this video, watch it again, jump to the point where I actually show you. Storage charge your batteries when you're not using them, and charge them properly. Check them with this, see if the cells are off, and if they are, give it a nice balance charge. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye! Say bye, bye-bye! Is it playtime? Is it playtime?